Top 10 Places to Visit in Kansas. Geographically, Kansas is situated in the center of the United States. That's just one of the many reasons, however, that Kansas is known as the heart of America. The state of Kansas is a slice of Americana, boasting the scenery of the Monument Rocks along with plenty of history. Kansas offers a lot more than just fields of wheat and sunflowers. This prairie state has a colorful history, sprawling grasslands and sophisticated urban centers for travelers to explore. Kansas offers some of the most beautiful and spectacular sights and places to visit. Wichita may not be the state capital, but it is the largest city in Kansas. Nicknamed the air capital of the world, Wichita is home to several aerospace companies as well as the Kansas Aviation Museum. As an industrial hub and the largest city in the state, Wichita is an area center of culture, media, and trade. It hosts several large museums, theaters, parks, and entertainment venues, notably in Trust Bank Arena. While here, make time to stroll through Old Town on foot. Old Town has recently been revitalized, and it is now a fantastic collection of museums, shops and restaurants that is conveniently pedestrian-friendly. 2. Smoky-Valley-Ranch and Little Jerusalem. On this land, you'll find a site that has almost vanished from America, bison roaming a short grass prairie as they did hundreds of years ago. Dramatic chalk bluffs overlook large expanses of grassland, rocky ravines and Smoky Hill River. Breaks along the upper reaches of the river represent a transition zone between mixed grass and short grass prairie environments. When the Conservancy purchased Smoky Valley Ranch in 1999, it was the largest land acquisition for conservation in state history. In October 2016, the iconic rock formations known locally as Little Jerusalem were incorporated into the ranch. The largest exposure of Niobrara chalk in the state, this unique area will eventually be open to the public. The rocks are currently closed to all visitors while access that protects the fragile natural resources is planned. Since man first visited this area, the banks of the Smoky Hill River have served as an east-west highway. 3. Eisenhower-Presidential-Library. There is a small city, called Abilene in central Kansas, that is home to an impressive and historically significant attraction. The Eisenhower Presidential Library is a top-notch research facility that is packed with millions of books, photos and artifacts. Exhibits change frequently and revolve around Eisenhower's life, his presidency and Kansas history. The Eisenhower Presidential Complex is only one of two whose creation preceded the close of a presidency, and while this is obviously the case with his boyhood home, construction of the library itself began in 1958, and the museum portion before he even took office, coinciding with the then-general's announcement of his presidential candidacy in June 1952. 4. Tallgrass-prairie-national-preserve. Where's the tall grass? Tallgrass Prairie once covered 170 million acres of North America. The preserve protects a nationally significant remnant of the once vast tallgrass prairie and its cultural resources. Here the tallgrass prairie takes its last stand. Located outside of Strong City, this preserve is home to several miles of hiking trails. There are also a handful of historic buildings on the preserve, including the 19th-century Spring Hill Ranch House and a limestone barn. Flora and fauna are a big draw, and in the spring the prairies bloom with colorful flowers. Wamego is where you will find the Oz-Museum, a museum devoted to all things Wizard of Oz. It is one of the most fascinating attractions in the state. The museum houses one of the largest private collections of the Wizard of Oz memorabilia in the world. You can view the original books, modern collectibles and memorabilia from the iconic movie. Some of the more unusual and unexpected artifacts include the original silent films, which can be watched on site, as well as ruby slippers covered in thousands of Swarovski crystals. 6. Monument Rocks. The chalk pyramids, also known as Monument Rocks, can be found in Gove County, in northwest Kansas. This geological landmark is one of the natural wonders of the state. Monument Rocks is, by some estimates, more than 80 million years old. Some of the rock formations are over 70 feet tall, and the ones you won't want to miss are called Charlie the Dog and Eye of the Needle. Seven. Cosmosphere. The Kansas Cosmosphere and Space Center, better known as simply the Cosmosphere, is located in the city of Hutchinson. This is the second largest space museum on the planet, and it is packed with fascinating attractions and exhibits. In the Carey Digital Dome Theater, you can watch movies about space exploration on a two-story, domed screen. You can also watch a performance of Dr. Goddard's Lab, which takes viewers back to the 1930s when rocketry was just developing as a field. Western Kansas is home to Dodge City, a name synonymous with the Santa Fe Trail. Fort Dodge was built in the 19th century to safeguard settlers heading along the trail or settling in Kansas. It was the epitome of the Wild West, that's why the expression, "Get the heck out of Dodge." Today, however, Dodge is a wonderful place to be, and it is loaded with history and things to explore. You can still tour Fort Dodge, and you can also check out the Boot Hill Museum. This museum has a full reconstruction of Dodge City as it looked in 1876, and things like gunfight reenactments and chuckwagon dinners are all a part of the charm. 9. Dinsmoor's Garden of Eden. Considered one of the 8 wonders of art by the Kansas Sampler Foundation, Dinsmoor's Garden of Eden in Lucas is a folk art mecca. Wander around the garden of enormous concrete sculptures, most depicting biblical and political scenes. Prohibited from burying his deceased wife in his backyard by town law, Dinsmoor removed her from the town cemetery himself and encased her coffin in a concrete sculpture so no one else could move it. Over time, he added more and more concrete sculptures to the land around her mausoleum and named his creation the Garden of Eden. 10. Fort Scott National Historic Site. In the middle of the 19th century, Kansas could be described as the frontierland. Settlement was ongoing, but a military presence was needed to secure the American borders. Fort Scott was constructed in 1842, and was a significant factor in both the U.S. Civil War and Bleeding Kansas, a dispute that brought up slavery even before it was a national battle. Today, the Fort Scott National Historic Site can be best explored on a guided tour. You can tour 11 historically accurate buildings that house 30 furnished rooms, each letting you glimpse into life more than 150 years ago. Thanks for watching my video. Please like, comment and subscribe.